The Roth IRA is a great retirement account that gives you tax-free growth, but you probably already knew that. So in this video, I'm gonna talk about 5 tips that you must know about the Roth IRA that you probably didn't. So tip number 1 with the Roth IRA, things that you must know, is that any of the principal, any of the contributions that you put into the Roth IRA, you could take out at any time for any reason, tax and penalty free. You could take it out tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, it doesn't matter. So the benefit of knowing this is not only that you can get access to the Roth IRA at any point, but you can also retire early and have access to that Roth IRA, all of the principal, anything that you contributed into the Roth IRA. Now you might be thinking, well, this is gonna be the only retirement account that I'm gonna use or have the ability to use to retire early, and that's not true, which brings me to tip number 2. Now with the traditional IRA, anything that you put into it goes in pre-tax, and anything that you want to pull out of the traditional side of your IRAs, 401ks, 403bs, is gonna have to wait until age 59 and a half unless you use the rule of 72T, which means that you have to take substantial equal periodic payments from the traditional side. Now, what on earth does that have to do with the Roth IRA? Well, anything that you're pulling out of your traditional side is gonna come out as ordinary income. So if you wanna retire early but still control your taxes, when you're pulling the money out of the traditional side to retire early, you can pull additional dollars out of the Roth IRA to keep yourself in a lower tax bracket, which can also qualify you for additional tax credits or deductions. It allows you to control your taxable situation both today and tomorrow using both the traditional and the Roth IRAs together. Tip number 3 when it comes to the Roth IRA is the contribution limits. Now you might already know that you can put in $6,000 or an additional $1,000 if you're 50 or older into the Roth IRA. But what you might not realize is that you can open and fund a solo Roth 401k if you have a side hustle or self-employment income. Any of that 1099 type of income, you can open and fund a solo Roth 401k, and then later on, you can just roll it into your Roth IRA or keep it in the Roth 401k. Now, the benefit of doing this is that you can get up to $61,000 into the Roth solo 401k each and every single year. Tip number 4 is a question that I get asked the most for somebody that's starting out with the Roth IRA, and that's whether or not a Roth IRA is a good investment. A Roth IRA is not a good investment, and it's not a bad investment. It is an investment account. That means you could put anything into the Roth IRA, meaning you could put in stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs. That means you have full control over the investments inside of your Roth IRA. Unlike a workplace plan like a 401k or a 403b that's limited to the ETFs or mutual funds or certain stocks that you're gonna have in those plans, the Roth IRA has a lot more investment flexibility. Tip number 5 is knowing that the Roth IRA does not have any RMDs. RMD stands for required minimum distributions. So your traditional IRA is going to have RMDs after you hit the age of 72. Now that means you need to take a certain amount out. You're required to do it. You have to take a certain amount out from your traditional side. So what does this have to do with the Roth IRA? Well, it's important that you know this in advance so you can make sure that you have the right balance between the 2 types of accounts. So that means you should look at things like Roth conversions or backdoor Roth conversions, or just making contributions and splitting them up between the Roth side and the traditional side. Now, the reason that you want to do this and not just put everything in the Roth or everything into the traditional side is because you want to control your taxes both today and tomorrow. So putting money into your traditional side will help you reduce your taxable situation today, but in retirement, that's where the Roth IRA comes in. So the name of the game here is to smooth your taxes out. It's not just to pay no taxes today and no taxes tomorrow. You don't want to just do one or the other. You want to have both to smooth out your taxes because that's going to keep you in the lowest tax bracket possible both today and tomorrow. tomorrow. And that is 5 tips about the Roth IRA that you must know, and now you know. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.